In the year 2025, something important happened in the world. The countries of the world saw a big change. There were two very big countries with different plans: the United States and China. America, led by President Donald Trump, was mainly looking at problems close to home. President Trump focused on putting his country first. He wanted America to be strong alone. America was also busy with fighting. The United States military was helping Israel fight against Iran in the Middle East. This was a difficult and dangerous time. While America looked at these specific fights and its own issues, it started to do less with countries far away. It gave less money to help other nations develop. It was less interested in working with groups from many countries. America was focused inside its borders and on fighting its enemies. But China had a different plan. China wanted to work with many countries around the world. China invited leaders from Africa to big meetings. China offered a lot of money to build roads, railways, and ports in Africa. It also told African countries they could sell their goods in China without paying extra taxes. China was also making friends and helping countries in Asia, South America, and other places. China was offering money and help for building and trade. China wanted to be a main friend and partner for these countries. This story is about these two different ways of acting in the world. It is about how China is getting more powerful by making many friends through trade and help. It is about how America is becoming less involved with the world because it is focused on its own country and certain conflicts. This difference is changing which countries have the most power and influence in the world. We will look closely at how this big change is happening. 2. America's new plan. President Donald Trump came back to the White House in 2025. This is real. His idea was clear: America first. This meant that America would think about its own needs and its own people before thinking about other countries. The United States government made big changes to how it spent money outside the country. They cut billions of dollars that were used for help to foreign countries. This money helped with things like health programs, help after disasters, and support for international groups. Money for the United Nations Children's Group, UNICEF, was cut. President Trump and others said this money was waste and should be used inside America. Some people worried that cutting this help would mean America was no longer the main country helping others. They said it could make space for countries like China and Russia to gain more power. At the same time, America used its army more strongly in the Middle East. The United States military worked closely with Israel. Following fighting between Israel and Iran, President Trump gave the order for U.S. forces to join attacks on Iran's nuclear buildings. American B-2 bombers attacked places like Fordo and Natanz, which were important for Iran's nuclear work. This military action was called Operation Midnight Hammer. It helped Israel's leader, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, achieve something he wanted for decades: for America to use its strong army against Iran's atomic plans. America's actions in this region made countries like Israel and those in the Gulf stronger, while Iran was put in a weaker place. President Trump also announced a ceasefire between Israel and Iran later. President Trump also brought new rules for trade. He put new taxes, called tariffs, on goods from many countries. This included goods from some countries in Africa. Products from countries like Lesotho, Madagascar, Botswana, and South Africa faced high new taxes, sometimes up to 50%. This was part of his Buy American plan, wanting people to buy American products. America also showed less interest in leading global groups and working closely with old friends. President Trump was not always a strong supporter of military friends. He asked member countries to spend much more money on their armies, asking for 5% of their country's total income. When the president of Ukraine visited for a NATO meeting, he was not given a full meeting with the main leaders, showing a lack of strong support. Also, President Trump called the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, by himself to talk about peace in Ukraine, without talking to Europe or Ukraine first. This surprised America's friends and made them unsure about America's promises to help. So, in 2025, the United States under President Trump focused inward. It used its military power in one area, but stepped back from helping and working with others in many parts of the world. It prioritized its own country, economy, and military interests. This was a clear change in America's place in the world. 3. China helps Africa. China worked hard to make friends in Africa. In 2025, China invited many leaders from African countries to a big meeting. This meeting was important. China wanted to show it was a good partner to all of Africa. The leaders talked together about the future and how China and African countries could work together even more closely. At the meeting, China made a big promise about trade. It said that African countries could sell their goods in China without paying extra tax. This means things made in Africa, like food from farms or products made in factories, could go to China and be cheaper for people there to buy. This was a change from before, when only the poorest African countries had this help. For all their goods, now 53 African countries could send almost anything they make to China without this extra cost. China said this help would make it easier for Africa to sell more things. It would also make the trade between China and Africa fairer, helping African businesses. China said it was happy to welcome good products from Africa to its large market. China also talked about money and building. It promised many billions of dollars for Africa. This money was not a small amount. It was for building many important things. China would help build new roads and railway lines that connect cities and countries across Africa. These help people travel and move goods from one place to another much faster and easier. China also said this money and these building projects would help create 1 million new jobs for people in Africa. This helps families earn money, gives people work, and helps African countries grow stronger and richer. China was already building important roads and ports in Africa before this meeting. China also spoke about what other countries were doing with trade. It said that some countries put unfair taxes on things from Africa. This was a clear message about America, which had recently put new high taxes on goods from some African countries like South Africa, Lesotho, Madagascar, and Botswana. China said this was not right and hurt African trade. China said countries should talk about trade problems together, based on respect and fairness for everyone, not just make hard rules alone. China and the 53 African leaders together made a statement. They said that the United States should solve its trade problems by talking with countries as equals instead of putting on high taxes. By offering better trade rules, promising many billions of dollars, and helping with big building projects like roads and railways, China showed it wanted a very close and deep friendship with Africa. China wants to be the main country that helps Africa grow and become stronger in the world. This big help from China was a very important event in 2025 for Africa. It showed a different way for African countries to work with powerful friends. China focused on helping Africa build its future and sell its goods. 4. China and Middle Asia. China also worked hard in Middle Asia. This area is important because it has oil and gas and other useful things, like metals. China needs these resources. In the middle of the year 2025, China held a big meeting with leaders from 5 countries in Middle Asia: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. At this meeting, China signed a very important paper with these countries. This paper is like a big promise to be good neighbors and strong friends for a long time. It helps make China and these countries very close. After this meeting, buying and selling things between China and Middle Asia started to grow very fast. China buys a lot of oil and gas from countries like Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. China also wants to buy metals and food like grain and cotton from this area. Trade grew by more than 10% in just the first few months of 2025. China has big plans to build many new things in Middle Asia. They want to build new pipes to carry gas. They are also planning new train lines and power lines. One new train line is planned to go from western China through Kyrgyzstan. These projects are part of China's bigger plan to connect Asia and Europe with new roads, trains, and ports. These new building plans help China get the important things it needs. They also help the countries in Middle Asia sell their products and connect to big markets. With these projects and growing trade, the countries in Middle Asia are becoming much closer friends with China. China is becoming the most important country for buying things from Kazakhstan, for example. This focus on Middle Asia helps China in several ways. It gets the energy and materials it needs for its own country. It creates new ways for trade goods to travel. It also helps China become more important in a region that was traditionally more connected to Russia. China's way of using money and building things is changing who has influence in Middle Asia. The countries there now have a strong economic partner in China. This is a big change for the region. 5. China in South America. China held an important meeting with leaders from countries in South America and the Caribbean. This big meeting was in Beijing in the year 2025. Leaders from many nations came to China for talks about working together. China's leader, Xi Jinping, spoke at the meeting. He announced a large amount of new money for these countries. It was about $9.2 billion in credit. This money is for big building projects. It will help build roads, railways, and energy plants. These projects help countries grow and connect places better. China also told its companies to buy more goods from South America. They want to buy more food, oil, metals, and other natural things that come from the land. Buying and selling goods between China and South America is now very big. In the year 2024, this trade was over $500 billion. China is now the biggest trading partner for many countries in South America. This means they buy and sell more with China than with any other country. China wants to be a main friend and helper for these countries. China's plan is to help them develop their economies and make them stronger. China says it works with them as equal partners, helping them stand on their own. China is becoming a very important partner in this part of the world. Its presence is growing fast in South America. They offer money and trade deals that countries need. China is also interested in helping these countries have more choices in the world. The meeting in Beijing was a big step for China in South America. It showed China's strong wish to work closely with the nations there. Many countries in South America are happy to get this help and find new buyers for their goods in China. China is making friends and becoming a leader in trade for these nations. This changes how South America works with the rest of the world and who it depends on. China's focus on trade and building is different from America's focus at this time. China's plan helps these countries feel stronger. China is building strong connections for the future. China is becoming a new strong partner for South America. This is a clear sign of how China is becoming more powerful globally. China's presence here is a big part of its plan for the whole world, showing its role as a partner for the Global South. 6. China's big idea over time. China has a big idea, and it is not new. This plan started many years ago, in fact, decades ago. At first, China was focused on growing its own country very fast. Its leaders, like Deng Xiaoping, thought it was best for China to stay quiet on the world stage and not try to lead other countries. But over time, as China became much stronger economically, its leaders started to think bigger about the world. President Xi Jinping had a grand vision. In 2013, he began a very large plan called the Belt and Road Initiative. Think of this plan like building many new connections around the world. It involved building roads, train lines, ports, and other important things in many different countries. These projects helped connect China with countries far away, across Asia, going into Africa, and even to Europe, Latin America, and other regions. The main goal was to improve trade routes and make countries more connected for buying and selling goods. At first, China's help was often seen as just giving money or building big projects. But the idea grew and changed over time. China wanted to be more than just a country that builds infrastructure. It wanted to be a very close partner and a good friend to many developing countries around the world. China says it wants to help these countries become strong and successful too. It often talks about working together as equals and standing against what it calls unfair treatment or trying to control others by some older, strong Western countries. China presents itself as a champion for countries that once colonies or are still growing. By the year 2025, this long-term plan became very clear and very important on the world stage. China has worked hard for many years to make these connections, build trade, and create trust with many nations. It offers money for big projects, helps countries sell their goods in China, and talks about working together in international groups. Chinese companies have also grown their presence, for example, helping with technology. This strategy has helped spread China's influence across many continents. It is a different way of becoming powerful on a global level, using economic strength, trade, and friendship instead of only military power. China is now a main partner and a big helper for many countries. This big idea, started many years ago with careful steps, is now working well and changing the world picture in 2025. Two big countries, different ways. The world watched two big countries in 2025, America and China. They chose very different ways to be strong. America, led by President Donald Trump, looked more at home. The plan was America first. The United States government spent less money helping other countries. It also stepped back from some world groups. America used its army in the Middle East, helping Israel. This meant fighting against Iran in some places. The U.S. also put new taxes on goods from some countries, even friends. China chose a different path. China looked outward. It wanted to make new friends around the world, especially in countries that are still growing. China used money and trade. It offered billions of dollars to help build roads, railways, and power plants. China also said it would buy things from many countries with no extra tax. This was a big help for countries in Africa, Asia, and South America. So, growing countries had new choices. America was busy with its own issues and using its army in one place. China was busy offering help and trade deals everywhere else. This gave many countries new chances to get help and sell their goods. The way countries buy and sell things in the world might start to change. Before, America was often the main country for trade and help. Now, China was becoming the biggest trade partner for many nations. This could mean that trade routes and money flows change over time. America's old friends in Europe and Asia felt unsure. They saw America focusing inward and making changes quickly. They wondered if America would still be there to help them if they had problems. This made them think about their own plans. There was also a risk of more fighting. America's focus on using its army in the Middle East made some people worry. A small fight could become a bigger war. While America was busy with this risk, China was quietly making friends with money and trade. This time showed clearly the different ways America and China worked in the world. 8. The world is changing. The world is now moving into a new time. In the year 2025, things look very different. America, led by President Donald Trump, is busy. It is busy with problems inside the country and also with fighting in other places. America is focused on itself and on using its army. It is not looking outwards as much as before. At the same time, China is doing something different. China is looking outwards. It is busy making many new friends. China is making trade deals with countries all over the world. It is helping build roads and railways in Africa, in countries near China, and in countries in South America. China is offering money and good deals for buying and selling things. This big change in the world gives new chances. Many countries that are not very rich now have a new country, China, to help them. They can sell more things and get money for big building projects. But these changes also bring new problems. Some countries might have to choose between being friends with America or being friends with China. The way countries do business and work together around the world might change a lot. The year 2025 shows a very big change. It shows a change in which countries have power in the world. America's power is changing, and China's power is growing. Who is most powerful in the world is becoming less clear than it was before. What will happen next is hard to know right now. The world is changing fast. Will America become more open to the world again? Will China become even stronger? Nobody knows for sure. What do you think about the world changing like this?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.